How do you say hello in sign language?
I say hello.
So like
My name is hello.
oh hello.
Yeah.
Here.
Hello. Hi guys, thanks for inviting me to this podcast session. I think I feel very privileged and humble as well because I believe this is only the second podcast that WeCreate is producing.
So I'm just kind of curious to know like what made you, what's your like architectural journey from like when you were like starting as like maybe a student and how you go to become like a lecturer, like entire journey and coming about to this, to creating this and starting up this community garden.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's going to be a very long story. Okay, but maybe I can summarize in different parts of phases of my life journey kind of thing. Yeah. So I actually graduated from NUS back in 2006. So that's where I completed my architecture education in NUS, pursuing masters. Yeah, that's when I start to join an architecture firm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the firm that I joined back then was DP Architects. So DP Architect was I think one of the largest firm, and I think it still is right now. So I guess it helps to build my foundation in architecture. And I think before I joined DP Architects and as an architectural assistant, right? Yeah, I was already interning during in my uni days. Because back then the program was 3 years of bachelor program, then 1 year of internship and 2 years of masters. So I had the experience of interning at DP Architects for 1 year. Yeah, I think because of I think a senior like to approach me and see whether I want to intern at DP Architects. So I like the experience working in DP Architects back then. When we work, I mean, even though it's a large office, right, it's very corporate, but we have smaller studios which organize itself kind of things under a director. So pretty much we can do things like what we believe in. And I guess that really make me want to continue to stay on. I mean to join DP Architects after I graduate from NUS. So I worked there for 3 years. I worked there for 3 years. I went through projects like shopping malls, competition projects, which includes like HDB, and even public spaces design. And before I left, I think I was working on River Safari project. I mean the entrance of River Safari. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So why I left? I think back then is I think the learning curve was very steep but I really learned a lot of things, right? In the architect, I think under the mentorship of my team leader and also the direction of our director back then. But there's a lot of late nights and things like that, like rushing for submissions and things. So it's no different from architecture education like what you guys have gone through, right? So it's like meeting deadlines, long hours, forgoing sleep, that kind of thing. So like most of the days I work until 10, 11. So that's when I start questioning myself whether it is something that I want to do in the long run. I think I suffered a bit of burnt out I think back then, even though it's only 3 years, right? And because there are some values that I believe in terms of having a purpose in life, and I think the things that I do, I think need to be something that very meaningful And what does architecture stands for? I think at that point of time, I think it's all about building large malls and things like that, and that benefit only a certain group of people right? I question myself, how can an architecture serve the less fortunate or the disadvantaged? I think before I joined DP Architects, I was also, I went on trips like a youth expedition trip at YP, where I think as a student I was exposed to infrastructure building works, and how this can help certain communities. Right? I think the first YP that I went was to India. I think that was in 2004. Now, as a student, I think that was time was quite an awakening for me to see that actually I think design can actually make an impact to the community, to the people around, especially those who are less fortunate kind, who might not have access to designers, to architects, that kind of things. So back then when I was already studying, I have this idea that and I start working as an architect, I need to do something that can benefit communities. But when I joined DP Architects, I find that I feel that I was very lucky as well as very privileged to be able to join a big architecture firm. I think back then, I think my peers, I think most of them are all top performers. But for me, I'm just a average, a B grader kind of. So it's not all about the grades. I feel very wow. I can join different architects, and then the rest of my peers are all the A graders kind of thing. So there's prestige to it. I feel wow. That's why that's only how long that I can last, right? For 3 years only lah. But then I start to question myself after that 3 years. And I think there's also something that happened in the year 2009 when I was working in the office, right? I felt tremors in the office. Then I remember I said, how come the light is like it's moving? I thought I was like having blurry vision or to faint sort of thing. But then everybody also was shocked lah. Then we go and search online and say, oh, actually there's an earthquake in Padang, Sumatra. It was in September back then. I still remember very clearly lah. I think that was that point of time also I was always suffering burnt out, and also my father just recently passed away, and I really questioned myself like, I'm not spending a lot of time with my family kind of things, and I neglected them. I focused more on work. So start to question all these values. Then the earthquake happens, and again start asking. I'm sure there will be a lot of buildings that have collapsed and things, and there could be even death or injuries that happen, right? And also I still started to reflect back on my YP experience, where I think one of the YP we went to Sri Lanka also to help in the relief aftermath of the tsunami that affect a lot of Southeast Asian cities and countries. That was in 2006. And again, we did some infrastructure work, like helping to restore a primary school. So I started to question myself. True enough, the damage was really quite bad, like it was 7 point something Richter scale. And I think at that point of time I really was wanting to tender my resignation. But then I think my team leader tell me that, okay, you can just go for your volunteer trip first, and you can go and so-called try to find some answer for yourself first, right? So I went for a volunteer trip in 2009, 2010, I think early 2010, to do some rebuilding transitional shelters for those affected by the earthquake, and help to clear the houses which has already collapsed due to the earthquake, clear the rubble and things like that. So I joined an international organization back then. So I stayed there for 1 month, right? Work with the volunteers to do those kind of activities. So this way I found a lot of meaning in the thing that even though it's just a simple shelter, it's just a transitional structure made of wood, but it's sufficient to keep to shelter someone from the harsh elements, because the first step to recovery was actually to give them a roof over their head, and I think most of them back then were just living in tents. So by giving them a temporary shelter with a proper roof and things like that, it's a step towards recovery things.
So did all this inspire you to slowly come up to start your own business? Not really business, but like start up your own volunteer, like maybe organization.
Yeah, exactly So I think back then, then I went for volunteer work. Then I tell myself that I think this is something that I want to do in the long run kind of thing, and not work in a corporate office kind. So I left, but also don't have any plans where to go yet. And I just say I give myself a break first and see what I want to do.
Okay.
So at the point of time, do a lot of soul searching, travel around. So I went to China, to Xinjiang area. Then went to Pakistan. So Pakistan also, there I revisit some of the places that I volunteered before. So also all related around earthquake, people who has suffered from earthquake and how they are rebuilding their lives, that kind of things. So revisit them and see how they recovered and how they rebuild their lives. So that's when my so-called my idealist nature, why can't I do something or start something that can benefit communities that have suffered from disasters, right? So in what form, I'm not too sure yet. So it could be rebuilding basic infrastructures, or even just to get some normalcy back in their lives, especially for the children, because they want to forget about the trauma that they went through. So could we then design places or spaces like playgrounds, or even their schools and things like that. So start from that angle to rebuild schools, infrastructures for children. So that's when I started the organization together with the group of friends that went with me on my first YEP to India. So we set up a society back then, and we call ourselves Build Back Better. But I think being just fresh out of corporate life,
It's not easy.
not easy
Yeah.
And at the same time, also trying to find jobs that are related to what you call it, NGO, non-governmental organizations, like helping in terms of the relief work and things like that. I tried Red Cross, tried Singapore Mercy Relief, that kind of thing, but I think because of my inexperience in dealing with disaster or sort of things, I think I wasn't even shortlisted for any interviews now. That was I wanted to do to work in a relief organization. So in Singapore, I think back then there's only these two organizations that I know of, Red Cross and Mercy Relief. Then I was thinking, why not just set up my own organization to do this kind of work, right? To not exactly to provide immediate relief after a disaster, but more to help to rebuild their lives in the next phase, that kind of thing.
So your passion doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do to help the community out, right? So after hearing from all your journey, that you're so passionate to help the community out, so what made you switch and go towards education and teaching?
I think I received a call from my batchmate asking whether I want to teach. So asked me to teach subjects like history and theory of architecture kind of things. So it's more like a adjunct position. Initially I was really quite apprehensive. I said, history and theory, I think that was my weakest subject in school. I wasn't confident to actually to take up the module and to teach. So, but nevertheless, I tried to give myself a chance, and at the same time I was also relearning what I've learned in school. So I need to prepare myself, read up a lot of things and things like that.
do you decide to like try to jump towards education because like you love to like help out the children because of your experience previously, that's why you decide to like agree to like teaching and all?
I think not exactly. I think back then I was quite desperate lah, because I need money lah. Because not working, right? Yeah, I was freelancing lah with my friend, but I think not enough to sustain myself. So I think my first motivation was the additional income that I can get from teaching. But I think of course there's a meaningful part of things which is our imparting the knowledge as well as try to mold the lives of the young adults lah.
So you started teaching history and interior architecture, is it? As a young lecturer.
So I think after the 2 years right in teaching as an adjunct, I really enjoyed myself lah teaching. Then I wanted to maybe find a full-time job in teaching. So back then I think there wasn't an opportunity for me to join full-time. A friend I saw an opening, then I just applied. I think back then the School of Design and Environment in the was just established, so they were looking for lecturers to teach architecture modules. But back then I think the course wasn't called Diploma in Design, but it was called Diploma in Sustainable Urban Design and Engineering. So it's about there's two components to it lah. So it's architecture as well as civil
engineering.
So I think back then for the first 1.5 years was a combination of both architecture and civil engineering before they start to specialize in either architecture or civil. So diploma in design only came about only in the last 5 years only lah.
How you gather yourself to communicate with that student like me? How you communicate?
Yeah. So I think over the years, the batches, I thought I could feel the difference lah. So I think in my formative years, I learned to listen to their needs, like in terms of how we run the modules, right? So a lot of feedback that we need to take in and be very constructive about it lah, right? Don't take it too personally, kind of things. Again, we need to change our approaches in terms of the delivery lah, so we don't have long lectures kind of things, and we also move a lot of things online where you have do your own self-learning kind of things, and also people with special needs, right? Like yourself, at least lecture wise you can do it at your own pace. You look at the videos, just that I need to be more mindful next time in terms of my videos. I need to put captions or subtitles lah. I think I appreciate the feedback that you gave earlier on, like probably in videos you have subtitles, correct? Yeah. So learning about, I think to be more inclusive lah in our teaching approaches. There's also other special needs as well, so not only just in terms of hearing impairment, right? Like the different spectrum of autism we also do have, and some ADHD. So we have to treat all these students individually lah, on a case-to-case basis. So we cannot just assume that everybody is the same. I think I can recall one special incident. This particular student was like always sleeping in my class kind of thing. So I mean I wasn't like angry or whatsoever lah, but if any ordinary student, I think I would feel like very disrespected kind of thinking. But I mean I somehow know about her background, right? What's her special need kind of thing lah. So after further inquiry, I learned that because she can't sleep at night, she's suffering from insomnia. Then she will need to take some medicine to calm herself down when she's in school. In class she's very noisy, right? And she can't focus. So the only way is to just sleep in class, just to make herself feel calm. But she know what's going on in class. I mean, she always catch up with the rest of the classmates after that lah. Yeah. So that's where probably there's a shift in mindset, and not just assume that people, if they are sleeping, they are being disrespectful to you, or I'm sure they are going through something that you don't. I mean, at the point of time you don't understand or you don't appreciate lah. So what do you enjoy in my class? What do you enjoy? Which lesson or which module do you enjoy most?
I enjoy your module.
Which module?
AMT.
AMT.
Material.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoy that because you do a lot the clay, you know, ceramic. Yeah, I feel like more fun of that.
Okay. Yeah. So talking about that is really about hands-on. Thinking about hands-on activity in class, and also invite experts from different fields to talk about the different materials. Then we have the clay, by Certi Clay, right, which talk about sustainable building materials. And also I think in year 2 you all had the jasmonite, right, where you actually help design the tile for a building facade or something. And I remember clearly on the first day of lesson, I think together with Trisha lah, I think we asked about some of your values, right? What do you value? What's important to you, right? I think I remember you said about sustainability. You remember that you have to fill up the padlet kind of things, and you talk about some of your values. So yeah, I guess, I mean, for yourself, do you believe in this value of sustainability in terms of the education and where you're going to end up yourself in this career wise?
Definitely, yeah. Cause sustainability is also what is like currently in like practice throughout the entire like industries throughout. Yeah. So I find that it's actually very important to have sustainability in education as well. Yeah, like I know one of my friend who's also really like into sustainability and using materials that actually helps with like sustainability. For example, like mass engineer timber MIT in his design and all, which was quite important. Yeah.
And I think another area that I think also what you believe in or what you all stand for is about community design, right? I think that's why you guys actually intern with WeCreate. Was it your first choice to actually work in WeCreate?
Yeah, I wanted to have like sort of an experience actually on what it's like to work in an architecture firm that actually does social meaning.
Good, yeah.
Because I also have, like you also kind of have like passion towards helping out people with like special needs, for example. So how do you actually like juggle between doing this community farm and like as well as teaching? Yeah,
good questions. So I was also asking myself that how I can manage, right? I think a lot of things fall into place quite naturally lah. So, and I don't really exert myself too much or put stress onto myself, right? I need to manage this community garden like 24/7 kind of things. So I leave it quite naturally, like in terms of the people that comes in. I have people, I think family as well as friends that just volunteer their time to help me out in the garden. So I'm not too worried too much. So the only time I just come to the garden is, like I said, in the morning before I go to school, and over the weekends kind of thing. So I'm still able to spend most of my time in teaching, because that's my livelihood, right? So I need to make sure that I do well in that, to be able to deliver my lessons well, right, and also to be able to provide support whenever needed, because for us, on top of just our teaching role, we need to be advisors to our students. We need to understand like some of the problems that they face, and how we can work around them, right? And probably provide some support or even provide some directions to them, for them where they can seek help lah, that kind of things.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for willing to listen to me out. So I hope you guys are inspired also to do your own things, on top of just pursuing your education, right, or your future careers. I think it's good to also do something that you're passionate about, just to find balance in your life lah.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for listening to this podcast, and thank you Raja for actually having us here.
Thank you for having me, and also you guys feel welcome to in this space lah.
Okay.
Thank you.